Welcome to my video course on engineering FRMCs. Today we are breaking down the absolute core architecture of application coupling regimes. If you're out there designing, maintaining, or just studying the future railway mobile communication system, understanding exactly how railway applications physically and logically connect to the network is fundamentally important. We're going to map out the precise engineering boundaries that decide whether an application is tightly locked into the network, loosely attached to it, or completely abstracted away. So let's jump right in.
Here is our game plan for this explainer. 1. FRMCS system and boundaries. 2. Tight-coupled applications. 3. Loose-coupled applications. 4. The super-loose-coupled regime. 5. Putting it into practice with ETCS and voice apps. And 6. Review and next steps.
Section 1. FRMCS system and boundaries. Let's lay the groundwork. Before we even talk about how applications connect, we have to know exactly where the borders are drawn. Think of this architecture as having a hard horizontal line. Above that line, you have the railway application stratum. Below it, you've got the service and transport strata. By defining this strict boundary, FRCMS gives us incredibly specific reference points where applications actually plug into the network. For the systems physically riding on the train, this interface point is called OB-APP, or the onboard application reference point. For all the systems sitting on the ground, it's called TS-APP, the trackside application reference point. Every single packet of data bouncing between a train and the network crosses these specific thresholds.
Now, when we look at the three regimes, tight, loose, and super loose, it really boils down to one critical engineering question. Where does the FRCS service client physically live? Does it sit inside the application itself, or does it live over in the FRCS gateway? If the client is baked right into the application, boom, you have a tight coupling. If it's pulled outside the application and placed inside the gateway, we're looking at a loose coupling. And if the application has literally no idea what FRCS even is, well, that requires an agent, bringing us to the super loose regime.
Section 2. Tight-coupled applications. Let's look at the most direct connection we have.
In the tight-coupled regime, the application and the network are highly integrated. The application environment actually reaches right across that boundary between the application and service stratum because it natively encompasses the FRMCS service client within its own software. It doesn't need to ask a gateway to translate its communication requests. It natively speaks the network's language.
What this really means in practice is that mission-critical, or MCX, requests are fired directly from the application straight to the MCX server. It completely bypasses the need for gateway translation. Because it's directly using those OB-APP or T-APP interfaces, a tight-coupled application gets immediate, ultra-low latency access to the network. But there is a catch, right? It means the application is deeply tied to the specific telecom technology being used at the time. If the network standard gets a major update, the application software itself might need an overhaul.
Section 3. Loose-coupled applications. Here's how we fix that dependency issue. With the loose-coupled regime, the engineering philosophy totally flips. The application deliberately does not have an internal service client. Instead, it relies heavily on the onboard or trackside FMRCS gateway. The gateway steps up, hosts the MCX client, and does all the heavy lifting on the application's behalf. The application essentially just knocks on the gateway's door using standardized API primitives, and the gateway handles the entire conversation.
This is exactly how we achieve true telecommunications technology independency. The railway application just sends out standard API primitives, specifically defined in the FRMCS FISS specifications. Honestly, the app doesn't care if the train is running on 5G, Wi-Fi, or even a satellite link. Inside the gateway, a smart orchestration function takes those generic requests and dynamically routes the data flows to the right MCX client. You could literally swap out the train's modems and transport layer without touching a single line of code in the train's safety-critical applications. It's a massive advantage.
Section 4. Super loose-coupled regime. Time to get modular. In the super loose-coupled, or SLC regime, the application is completely blind to the fact that FRMCS even exists. We call this being OBAP unaware or TSAP unaware. It can't speak to the gateway at all, not even with those standard APIs. So what do? We bring in a middleman. A third-party agent bridges the gap. Think of it like hiring a dedicated translator who is perfectly fluent in both the old legacy language of the train and the cutting-edge language of FRMCS.
This agent steps in and handles all the messy complexities of loose coupling for the oblivious application. It manages specific credentials through an operations and maintenance or O&M interface, which securely binds the application to the network locally. This is incredibly powerful.
Why? Because it lets legacy train systems or even basic industrial sensors that have zero concept of a 5G rail network communicate safely and securely over FRMCs. No massive software rewrites required.
Section 5. ETC and voice apps. Let's see this in the real world.
If we compared two of the biggest use cases in rail, we can perfectly map out exactly why these different regimes have to exist. On one hand, we have the European Train Control System, or ETCS. This system demands absolute, strict isolation from the telecom hardware, so it uses loose coupling. On the other hand, voice applications are highly interactive and demand native MCX integration, meaning they have to be tight coupled. Let's dig into the why here.
Voice applications need that tight integration because they are executing complex, split-second actions directly with the user. Think about it. The moment a train driver logs in, the system has to instantly activate their functional aliases, proving who they are and what authority they hold. Whether they're placing a routine point-to-point call or slamming the button for a massive group railway emergency communication, the application needs deep, unrestricted access to the MCX client. Plus, it relies on a tight-coupled arbitration function. This automatically prioritizes emergency calls, making sure the human-machine interface doesn't distract the driver during a crisis. You just can't get that level of intimacy without tight coupling.
But then, on the flip side, we have ETCS. ETCS operations must remain completely decoupled from the underlying telecom network. Absolute safety and regulatory compliance depend on it. The future of digital rail is built on an advanced Level 3 moving block approach, which is entirely train-centric. The train is constantly pinging its precise location and physical integrity to the trackside system, and in return, it receives movement authorities telling it exactly how far and how fast it's allowed to go. Because ETCS is quite literally a vital safety-of-life system, its software cannot be tangled up with how fast 5G modems evolve, so it uses the loose-coupled regime. It lets the FRMCS gateway handle the complex routing and quality of service, while ETCS stays totally focused on its only job, keeping the train safely on the tracks.
Section 6. Review and next steps. We've covered a lot of ground, from the architectural borders to the deeply embedded nature of voice apps to the necessary isolation of ETCS, and finally, the bridging power of super loose agents. Now consider this engineering challenge as we move forward. As we start loading more and more of these agents onto physical onboard gateways, how will the physical processing limits of that hardware actually shape our future deployments? It's a huge question for the industry. Thanks, we can see you in next video.